Hi everyone, I welcome you all on behalf of Koncept Hospital to this short presentation. I am going to tell you about what is Koncept Hospital, what is the purpose of establishing Koncept Hospital. I have been a medical practitioner for the last 33 years. Koncept Hospital has been established for the purpose of providing integrated medical facility to people, because many of the diseases does not have a complete cure with one vehicle. I mean one therapeutic system. For some conditions, you need to have multiple modalities to be applied to have a complete cure, or rather we can say to have a remarkable improvement in the status of the patient. So in this Koncept Hospital, we have decided to provide all type of therapies for the purpose of completely curing the disease of the patient. These systems what we provide are all validated systems, proven systems, and being widely practiced in many of the countries. These facilities what we have been proven to be extremely effective and absolutely without any side effect immediately or in the long run. So the main purpose of Koncept Hospital is to provide, or rather produce, a bridge between the Eastern and the Western philosophy and give the patient the best possible, safest curing system. We have multiple modalities, or rather therapies, to cater to almost any disease, whether it be physical, mental, emotional or spiritual level. The common facilities what we use here, to name a few: acupuncture system, both Chinese acupuncture and Suzhou acupuncture system; quantum biofeedback, a state-of-the-art mechanism which is based on futuristic principle of quantum science. We do ozone therapy, which is another excellent therapy for many of the chronic diseases, so-called incurable therapy-resistant diseases, because as you all know, most of the diseases are because of deficiency of oxygen. We also have EECP, a facility which is FDA approved system, which is also called as a circulatory therapy, where a machine pumps blood from the lower part of the body into the upper part of the body, as well as to the entire organ systems, including the brain and all the organs in the abdomen, thereby improving the health of the patient enormously. And we also do arterial clearance therapy, which is very commonly called as chelation therapy. We also do pulsed magnetic frequency therapy, or we also call as PEMF therapy, which is one of the most simplified and tested, proven system for many neurodegenerative diseases, non-healing ulcers, burns, neuropathy, and many conditions which are not easily treated by the conventional modalities that is existing now. We also have treatment which is, we also have other treatment like frequency therapy, which tries to identify the organisms in the body and destroy them by zapping by the resonance principle. We also do bowen therapy. We also do Ayurvedic or naturopathic concepts, which helps in increasing the lymphatic, blood and muscle movements. We also provide yoga, physiotherapy, and in ozone therapy we have an advanced method called as prolozone therapy, where we use micronutrients and other prolotherapy related ingredients mixed along with the ozone and injected into the joint spaces, into the muscles and into many locations into the body to regenerate the tissues. And we also do a very advanced new emerging science, what is called as stem cell therapy. We call that as PRP, or platelet rich plasma. But here we do third generation PRP. That's a very new advanced technique, where in the first generation we separate only the platelets and inject into the required area. But in the third generation we activate the PRP, that is the platelets, by vibratory as well as light mode, releasing the growth factors, cytokines and many of the growth inducing factors, and finally inject into the target organs like intra-articular, especially in the knee joint, which is very effective for regeneration of the cartilage tissue. Thereby you can even prevent knee joint replacement. And we deploy in the face for facelifting, we deploy in the scalp for growth of hair and removing the baldness. Very effective for hair fall, regrowth of hair in the scalp, which gives an enormous amount of cosmetic appeal to the patients. Absolutely no side effect, because we are using allogenic. We use the patient's blood, separate it and just give it into the, or deploy it into the specific areas where there is no medicine, no other ingredients used, which is one of the safest procedure. And we have a very fully equipped operation theatre, which most of the procedures are being done inside the theatre with utmost precaution and perfect aseptic conditions, using laminar flow, and all other aseptic precautions are being taken care, and we give the perfect cure for the patient in Koncept Hospital. What is Sujok? Sujok is a treatment method based on similarity principle. This is developed by Professor Park Jae-woo from Korea, and this has been practiced all over the world for the last 50 years. This is one of the simplest and the easiest way of treating any type of disease, whether it be physical, mental, emotional or spiritual level problems. In Sujok system, we use only parts of the body to treat. Basically, it's nothing but the hands and the feet. Why we need to select hands and the feet for the treatment? Because God as a creator created remote control systems all over the body. Of these remote control system, the hands and the feet resemble the most similar to the whole human body. If you look at the whole human body has got a central core, which we call as a trunk, which has got a front and the back side, and there are 5 projecting parts coming out from that. The head, which is short and thick, having only 2 parts, 2 upper limbs, long and slender, having 3 parts with the 3 joints dividing it, and the lower limbs long and slender with 3 joints again. So you have a central core with 5 projecting parts, out of which 4 are long and slender having 3 parts, and the head and the neck having 2 parts, which is short and thick, facing a different direction compared to the upper limbs and the lower limbs. Now look at the hand, human hand. If you look at the human hand, you can see that there is a central core, which we call as a palm, from which we have 5 projecting parts. One is called as a thumb, which is short and thick, having only 2 parts, and the other 4 fingers, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger and the little finger, all the 4 of them are long or slender and having 3 parts divided clearly by 3 joints. If you look at this, you can see a striking similarity between the human body and the human hand, where the head having two parts which is short and thick facing a different direction is exactly similar to the thumb, which is short and thick having two parts, two joints. The other four fingers corresponds to the four limbs. The index and the little finger corresponds to the outer side upper limbs. The middle and the ring finger corresponds to the lower limbs. So God has created an exact similarity of the whole human body in the hands as well as in the feet also. Utilizing the similarity, we do the treatment for anything that is happening in the whole body only in the hands and in the feet. Let it be the physical condition, or it be an emotional condition, or it be a mental condition, or even the smile meditation based spiritual condition can also be treated using just the hands and the feet. The hands and the feet are a big bone to the human race. This is similar to the remote control what we use in the modern television sets, where we don't need to go and do the manipulations in the television, where we do everything only in the remote control. Similarly, for all problems we do the treatment only in the hands and the feet. This gives a remarkable improvement, wherein there is least chances or absolutely 0% chances of creating any side effects or any other untoward effect, because it's being done only in the hands and the feet, so there is no major thing to worry about. But the effectiveness what you get from the hands and the feet are remarkable, and the speed with which we get the results are astounding. Within few seconds and minutes you can clear most of the diseases which are physically creating disturbances. Sometimes it takes a little time for the mental and emotional conditions. So the hands and the feet, which are the basis of Sujok acupuncture system, is the solution, the best solution for all the conditions that can affect the human body, mind and the spirit. I am going to tell you about acupuncture system. What is acupuncture? Acupuncture is an oriental science developed in China and oriental countries and being practiced for more than 10,000 years. It's one of the oldest system that is existing in the human history. Acupuncture system is based on the energies that is present inside and outside our body. And according to the Oriental philosophy, anything that happens in the body is because of disturbance in the energy level inside and outside the body. Chinese define the energy as into two components. One is an yin component and another one is a yang component. These two are supposed to be in balance when something is going to exist normally. If there is an imbalance between these two, there sets in a disease if it is in a patient's body, or if it is outside in the environment, it produces a lot of catastrophic changes. Now, since we are going to look at only the disease factor, disease is described in the Chinese philosophy as a disturbance between yin and yang. The body carries both yin energy and yang energy in the inside and yang side of the body. And these energies pass through a specific pathway which is called as meridians. In each of these meridians there are different locations which is called as points or acupuncture points or nodal points. These points have a specific influence on the internal organs, tissues, special senses and different functionality of the internal organs. So by inserting needles or manipulating the points using either needles or pressure or laser or different methodologies, you will be able to influence the functionality of the internal organs. The Chinese say anything that happens in the physical, mental, emotional and in the spiritual level is only because of disturbances in the functional capacity of the internal organs. So each internal organ carries one energy inside the body which is connected to outside the body. When there is an imbalance between the connection from inside and outside, the patient lands up in a disease. Acupuncture helps in harmonizing the energy level inside the body by inserting the needles and by doing the manipulation, thereby creating a complete cure. 100% safe. We use only disposable needles and utmost precaution is taken because we have qualified, experienced doctors here, and you can be assured that everything will be perfectly safe for you. Let's talk about quantum biofeedback. Quantum biofeedback is a futuristic based concept which helps in understanding the information from deeper most part of the body. What we do in quantum analysis is quantum energy is sent into the body at a high speed. That is, every second the machine sends in the frequency into the body at 100 times per second and does an analysis in the most fundamental building block of the body, bring the information back, match with the normalcy and give us a report. This report tells us in which part of health is the patient. It means that health is defined as a spectrum. In which part of the spectrum the patient lies. If the patient lies in the healthy spectrum, we don't need to worry about. If the patient lies in the unhealthy spectrum, we have to find out why he has gone unhealthy, what are the factors contributing to unhealthiness, to what extent he has gone unhealthy, what will help to switch back to normalcy. So by doing the analysis, we get information about the status of the internal organs, the status of your hormones, the status of your emotions, the status of your neurotransmitters, the status of your vitamins and other nutrition, the status of your chakras and auras, the status of your metabolism, the status of your digestive capacity and whatnot. You have so much of information, you can do it from this analysis, find out if there is any deficiency and correct them. Also, it is not only diagnostic, it is diagnostic cum treatment. There is no medicine involved. Maximum, sometimes if there is too much of deficiency of micronutrients, we'll be prescribing you some micronutrients to support the system to get back to normalcy. Basically, there is no electricity, no current, nothing is involved. The treatment is being done in the most fundamental building block, meaning that the subatomic space, which is a very, very different dimensional space, what we call as a quantum space, and this is being analyzed by the quantum machine, what is called as T.S.R or T.S.R. That is the name of the machine. The analysis in the deeper sense takes about 1 to 1.5 hours. In the shorter version, we can do it about 15 to 20 minutes, which gives us a reasonably good information. It also helps us in identifying many of the problems and also gives us a solution and also creates awareness and makes us responsible to take care of our health. At the end of the day, you are the person who are going to take responsibility for your health. It guides us in whatever way it has to be done and help us to restore health. If you are healthy, and there is always a chance that you may fall sick in future, that is, we call this as a preventive health care. What we try to do is, sometimes the machine can give us some idea about what is there stored in the body or in future for you inside your system. So we can identify a lot of problems way ahead of the disease before it gets expressed and try to completely remove them before the disease is getting expressed. So this is one of a very, very interesting futuristic system. A future of science or future of medicine is going to be based on this. So quantum biofeedback is one of the best system and one of the safest system also. It is FDA approved and it is very, very simple to do. Chelation. What is chelation? Chelation is artery clearance therapy. What is the need for artery clearance therapy? In modern days, if you look at it, we are exposed to enormous amount of toxic load into the body because of our mere existence. By drinking water which comes in the lead pipes, we get lead poisoning. By inhaling the smoke from the cars and all the vehicles, you get heavy amount of lead. The smokers get cadmium when they smoke inside. And when we eat fish and a lot of other normal food we get mercury, and there are a lot of food products which also contains lot of heavy metals including arsenic. All these heavy metals are highly injurious to the body. What it does is it goes and creates a very chronic inflammation into the endothelium, that is the inner lining of the blood vessels, and produce inflammation leading on to accumulation of platelets and the fat, what we call as the cholesterol, which over a period of time gradually grow and occlude the arteries. When the arteries get occluded, what happens is the blood supply gets reduced. When the blood supply gets reduced, the end organ gets damaged. So the cause of end organ damage, let's say for example heart, the brain, the kidneys and many other internal organs, all are because of indirectly due to the heavy metal poisoning. So how to remove the heavy metals? It's not that simple. Just a simple detox cannot happen. That's why we do what is called as chelation, using multiple safer established amino acid type of material or chemicals, sending into our body through a IV drip over a period of 2 to 3 hours slowly. Thereby it creates a dredging effect and the blocked arteries are opened up and the blood flow is restored. In many conditions, especially extremely effective in conditions like coronary artery disease. The coronary artery disease is mainly because of blockages due to accumulation of lipids, that is the cholesterol deposits inside. And this cholesterol deposit does not happen just like that, because it is because of the effect of the endothelial inflammation, which is because of the heavy metal poisoning. And not only that, it produces thickening of the arteries so that there is less flexibility, or the arteries fail to expand when the blood is pumped into the system. This leads on to reduced blood supply. To make the arteries more contractile and more softer, we have to do a heavy metal detoxification, which is done by the chelation process. Chelation process is one of the safest method. All you need to do is just sit, relax in a couch or in a recliner. Just like taking any IV fluids, you take an IV fluid which contains the micronutrients and it's sent into the body over a period of 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then just go back to normalcy and go and continue your normal day-to-day work. That's it. And if you do it as a course for 20 to 30 sessions at a weekly interval, this can cure many of the so-called incurable diseases and prevent many complications and many chronic diseases, including hypertension, diabetes, chronic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and Alzheimer's, and lot of diseases which are all because of reduced blood supply to the brain, which is an expression because of the heavy metal poisoning. So chelation is one of the simplest method and simplest answer to a very difficult to treat using conventional method treatment, and very safe also. ECP, Enhanced External Counterpulsation. It's also called as Circulation Enhancement Therapy. It is a very simple and most effective treatment method. Here the patient is made to lie down in a couch or a bed, and his lower part of the body, especially the lower limbs up to the abdomen, lower part of the abdomen is tied with a cuff like the blood pressure cuff, and is attached to a computer which in sync with the heart rate produces contraction into the body by creating compression by sending in air into the cuffs, and which leads on to compression of the lower part of the body, which squeezes the blood into the upper part of the body as well as into the internal organs. So what happens is, most of the diseases are because of deficiency in the circulation of the blood, which indirectly creates lesser oxygen to the target organs, which leads on to degenerative changes. In this system, there is no surgery, no medicine, nothing is involved. All you have to do is the patient has to lie down, and in synchronization with the heartbeat, when the machine pumps, when the heart is in a diastolic mode, that is in the relaxation mode, the machine pumps. When the heart is in a contraction mode, the machine relaxes. So when there is a relaxation of the heart happens, the blood flow is going back into the heart. This is being aided by the machine's compression or squeezing, thereby more blood is sent into the brain and into the rest of the parts of the body and including internal organs. So this gives more circulatory as well as oxygenation to the tissues as well as to the internal organs, creating enormous amount of oxygenation and rejuvenation to the cells and the tissues. It's extremely effective for all chronic diseases in conditions of the heart, in conditions of the brain, in conditions of the internal organs like kidney, liver, pancreas, and especially in conditions like diabetes, hypertension and all. But the best of all is it helps in increasing the coronary blood circulation. This pumping squeezes in blood into the arteries that supply the blood to the heart, thereby creating enormous amount of collaterals to open up and supply the myocardium with enough oxygen and enough blood supply. By doing this, we can prevent any heart related events in the future, especially the commonest killer in the modern day, which is called as a myocardial infarction or coronary artery disease. You all know that in the modern world, stress and improper lifestyle, especially the food, bad sleeping habits and all these things create enormous amount of toxic load. It produces thickening of the arteries and many things like the food what we take in creates lot of toxic load, and especially the exposure to the air outside, that is the smoke which contains a lot of lead, and smoking which contains cadmium, and the water we drink which contains lead, and so many other lot of heavy metals which are pumped into our system, which create enormous amount of inflammation into the vascular tree. This vascular tree inflammation, or what we call as endothelial inflammation, lead on to thickening of the arteries, thereby reducing the blood supply to the target organs. By doing the circulatory therapy, especially the ECP, what we call as pumping system or squeezing the body, all the closed arteries open up, and it can be done also for preventing the bypass surgery also. And for people who have compromised health, who cannot undergo surgery, this will be the best solution for them and safest FDA approved system. So this is one of the best system and a boon to curing many of the diseases. Prolozone therapy is part of the ozone therapy. For some conditions, we need not only ozone, some micronutrients also injected into the system. For example, let us say look at a condition called as osteoarthritis. In osteoarthritis, there is extensive degeneration of the cartilages in the articular surfaces of the joints, leading on to rubbing of the bones and lesser lubrication. In advanced osteoarthritis, the only way we can remove the problem is by replacement of the joint, which is quite expensive and a very trauma-inflicting surgery. And many times it does not really solve the purpose. So in this system, what we do is we use a lot of micronutrients which create some amount of minor inflammation, thereby creating more lubrication and provide regenerative capacity to the cartilage, which is supported by oral supplements of chondroitin sulfate, glucosamine and other things, which brings back the lost cartilages or the lubrication inside the articular surfaces. So prolozone therapy can be used for all joint related diseases as well as muscular disturbances. It is very effective, very safe treatment where there is a combination of ozone with micronutrients, which is called as prolozone therapy. Ozone therapy, another very exciting new concept, but it's not new, you can say. It's been practiced in Europe and US widely for the last 50 years. One of the safest method and highly effective. If you look at the human body, you cannot live without oxygen for more than 3 minutes. You can live without food for 10 days, you can live without water for 2 days, but without oxygen for more than 3 minutes is not possible. So oxygen is so crucial. Oxygen is food for every cell for it to function normally. When the oxygen gets low, all the diseases, especially most of the chronic degenerative diseases, happen. Now, when you take deep breath, the oxygen goes into the body and pumped into the cell. But unfortunately, the oxygen per se, the molecule is very difficult to enter into the cells. So what we do is we convert oxygen into ozone using a ozone generator and mix that ozone with blood, with saline and with the different vehicles, send into the body. The moment the ozone goes into the body, it splits into O2, which is oxygen, and O, which is called as a superoxygen. This superoxygen has got the power to penetrate into the cell wall, enter into the mitochondria and reinvigorate the cell and get the cell back to the normalcy. That is, a degenerated cell becomes healthy. When the cells become healthy, the organs become healthy, and the organs become healthy, the person gets into the healthy mode. So restoration of cellular function is done by the ozone therapy. Most of the diseases are because of lack of oxygen, and this is corrected by this most simple ozone therapy, because in ozone therapy there is no medicine, nothing is involved, just a pure oxygen which is converted from O2 to O3 and pumped into the cell. There is no contraindication, there is no side effect, there is no major problem with this. The only thing is ozone has to be sent into the body through a proper vehicle. We do blood ozone, we do saline ozone, we do rectal ozone, we do ozone into the ear, and we do ozone over the skin using a method called as bagging. So these are the different modalities through which we provide ozone to the body and cure many of the chronic so-called therapy resistant, difficult to cure diseases. Moreover, there is a method in ozone therapy called as minor ozone therapy, which is very, very effective for all autoimmune diseases which are very, very difficult to treat with conventional system. Except for steroid, we cannot do the treatment. Like conditions like rheumatoid arthritis are so very difficult. But using minor ozone therapy, the immune system can be very well modulated. I won't say it is corrected, it is modulated, and the self-inflicted damage is prevented, and the patient gets back to the normalcy without any medication, just with oxygen. So ozone therapy is the simplest and the easiest and most effective way of treating many chronic degenerative diseases. What is PRP? PRP is platelet-rich plasma therapy. What is the need for platelet-rich plasma? The need is the platelets are the blood components which contains lot of growth factors. And when these growth factors are used for damaged areas, traumatized areas, and injected into that, regeneration of the damaged tissue is possible. Now, this is just not the only reason why we do platelet-rich plasma therapy. In Koncept Hospital, what we do is called as third generation PRP therapy. What is third generation PRP therapy? Normally in PRP therapy, what we do is we separate the blood, we take the blood from the patient, centrifuge it, and remove the platelet-rich plasma component part of it and just inject into the target area. But here what we do is we separate the first generation of platelet-rich plasma, then activate it with the light and vibration, blast the platelets and make the platelet to release the growth factors, the cytokines and lot of other enzymes into the plasma. And this activated plasma with light and vibration is then centrifuged, and the third generation is a combination of stem cells which is separated from the third spin from the leftover plasma, and combination of the stem cells along with the activated platelets is injected into the target area. The advantage is we get stem cells, we get growth factors, we get cytokines, and we get many other enzymes which helps in regrowth of the tissues. Earlier it was not possible when there is a degenerative change. All we can do is reduce the inflammation, reduce the pain, and improve the comfort of the patient. But in this system, there is a high chance where we can bring back the damaged tissue to the normalcy. The platelet-rich plasma, which is the third generation, if it is deployed into the joint, the cartilages, worn-out cartilages are restored back. If it is deployed into the scalp, the hair fall can be arrested, a baldness can be treated, and it can also rejuvenate the hair follicles. Thereby, you don't lose, or there will be minimal hair fall. And platelet-rich plasma is also used in many other conditions. Like for example, a chronic back pain is because of the degenerative changes in the intervertebral disc, where regeneration is not conventionally possible. By injecting the platelet-rich plasma in the intervertebral disc area, as well as into the sacroiliac joints, as well as in the cervical joint area, into the muscles, and in many other areas, it can rejuvenate and bring it back to normalcy. It can also be injected into the face for facelifting. It can be injected into the genital organs to rejuvenate the genital organs, and there are so many different there are so many different indications are there for platelet-rich plasma. This is going to be a very revolutionary treatment. In the future, this is going to be the mainstay for regrowth of the limbs and regrowth of many of the internal organs. This is the prelude to all of them. Since we are using the allogenic platelets, there is no risk of any new disease coming into your body, because at the end of the day, it is only your blood and your plasma. Yeah, there is no addition of any chemicals, there is no addition of heparin, there is no addition of any other component into that. Just your blood cells, they are separated and being injected back into your system in a very concentrated way to regrow the damaged tissue. So platelet-rich plasma is one of the safest and the best solution for many of the degenerative joint diseases, and to rejuvenate the damaged parts of our body and cells. Koncept Hospital has a very novel way of diagnosis also. Apart from the conventional blood diagnostic procedures, we do what is called as live blood analysis and dry blood analysis. Live blood analysis is nothing but just taking your blood by a prick and mounting into the microscope and seeing them live, where in normal conventional methods we put the dye into the tissues or in the blood and kill the cells and only see the dead cells. In the live blood analysis, the live blood, where you can see the movements of the white blood cells, you can see the movements of the red blood cells and the platelets in its original form. Now, what is the need for this? To look at the live blood analysis. Because live blood analysis gives us lots of information about the internal system. It gives information about your body terrain, basically the pH of the body. When you look at the blood cells, the RBCs have to be separated and isolated, which is considered to be the normal healthy blood. If you see that there is a clumping, it says that there is too much viscosity in the plasma, which is nothing but a reflection of what is called as increased acidity in the blood. And you can also see a lot of organisms which are present in the blood. You can see a lot of toxic load, undigested food particles, and many more into the live blood analysis, where you can see with your own eyes and understand what it is. Now, what is the need for this again? Because this gives us a lot of information about the terrain inside the body. Many of the diseases what we get in our life is because of the disturbance in the pH of the body. When the terrain is corrected, the pathogens like the bacteria, virus, fungus and all these things cannot live in it. So instead of using an antibiotic, you can just change the body pH and drive away all these bugs or the pathogens in the body. So live blood analysis gives us an idea about what is the type of terrain you have, what is the type of cells you have, how much oxygenation is there in your blood, right? What is the pH, and what is the toxic load, and what is the nature of the cell wall, which also reflects as the nutritional capacity of the patient, and how much toxins are there, that is the leak from the intestine, what we have, what is called as a leaky gut syndrome, because leaky gut syndrome is one of the most important cause for many of the chronic diseases. So we can identify whether there is any leak in the gut also using this live blood analysis. What is the possible outcome? That is, we can define to the people that what type of approach they have to do, whether they need to have any lifestyle changes, whether they need to have any dietary changes, whether they need to have any other addition or nutrition support or something like that. Or sometimes if there is too much of leak from the intestine, we also suggest them to go for what is called as colon hydrotherapy. Cleaning the colon or inside of the body leads on to cleanliness of the entire body, including the blood. So live blood analysis gives us a very clear indication about the terrain inside. And we also do what is called as dry blood analysis, where a drop of blood is taken into the slide, which is just left it for a few minutes, and you get the blood dried. This dried picture of the blood drop gives us a lot of information about the oxidative stress. The rotten part of the body, or the what we call as the damaged part of the body, can be also understood, identified, and the corrective measures can be initiated just by looking at the dry blood analysis. So live blood and dry blood analysis are one of the novel methods of diagnosing disease without any major intervention being done. So it is safe and gives a lot of information. Give a try. Colon hydrotherapy, or called as colon cleansing. What is colon cleansing? What we do? There is a machine which pumps in plain water into the rectum, like what we do it in enema. But in enema, the fluid goes only up to the sigmoid colon. But in colon hydrotherapy, the machine sends in the water in a very controlled pressure, and it enters, the water enters into the colon, into the sigmoid colon, into the descending colon, into the transverse colon, and goes up to the ascending colon and cleans the entire internal part of your large intestine, or what we call as the colon. Why? What is the need for this colon cleansing? Because what happens is, over a period of time, over many years, the colon gets deposited with lots of toxic load in the inner surface, that is covering the mucosal membrane of the inside of the different parts of the colon. Now, what is the function of the colon? Many people don't know what is the real function of the colon. The colon is not just a reservoir for holding the fecal matter. When the feces come into the first part of the colon, that is the ascending colon, it is like a fluid, a liquid. The main purpose of colon is to reabsorb water. Basically, it is the most important organ for recycling water. It reabsorbs the water from the fecal matter, solidifying it and sending out the solid matter outside, but the water is being reabsorbed and sent into the portal circulation, into the liver and into the circulation. Now, sometimes what happens is, if there is too much toxic load, when the water is being absorbed, because of the weaker sieve, that is the inner covering of the intestine, if it is weak, it starts leaking the toxic material, which enters into the portal circulation, goes and having an impact on your liver and other internal organs, and creating lot of chronic diseases. If the internal part of the colon is cleansed and kept clean, there is no chance of any leakage of the toxic material into the body. By preventing reabsorption of the toxin into the body, you are saving the body from the strongest impact of the toxic load. Now, by regular cleaning, you can prevent diseases, or if you already have a problem, by doing the colon cleansing, you can reverse the disease process, thereby creating enormously healthy body condition. It is indicated in chronic constipation. It is indicated in excessive gas formation. It is indicated in digestive problem. It is indicated in many malignancies. It is indicated in liver disturbances. It is indicated in pancreatic disease. It is indicated in chronic skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, allergic conditions, and many more. So it is not just cleaning of the intestine, it is cleaning of the entire body. Your inside is cleansed and your body is rejuvenated and health is restored. This is one of the best and safest method wherein the patient's health can be restored without any medication. Colon hydrotherapy, everyone must try. It is not for people who are diseased, it is also for preventing disease and make you feel healthy. Colon cleansing is one of the best and simplest way of treatment. We do that in Koncept Hospital as a routine, and we have highly qualified, experienced personnel to take care of that, and you can be assured that it is going to give you a very, very healthy digestion and healthy feeling.